because of COVID, we've been abroad only with COVID, not because we've been to Sweden like the years prior. So that was kind of hard because of COVID, because we couldn't socialize as much, and we had like a curfew, and you know the deal. Like in Austria, the curfew was at 8 o'clock. You couldn't go out, and if you went out, you had to have like a formal slip that said that
Yeah.
you're actually allowed to be outside.
hmm
It was kind of hard being social, I guess.
hmm
But even though COVID was like taking over our entire lives, I kind of felt like the girls that I met throughout like all the places that we've been, I feel like they were really, really nice to me. And
You're listening to Breaking the Ice podcast, a podcast I created for wives and girlfriends of pro hockey players. My name's Devin Dodaro. I'm the wife of Charlie Dodaro. We have 2 dogs, a little boy Crosby, and a baby girl on the way. We spent 8 months of the year living the hockey life in Europe, but we've also spent about 5 seasons in North America. I've been around the block, sometimes just for a cup of coffee, but I wanted to share the tools, resources, and what's helped me along the way, while also learning every week from each and every one of you. In this podcast, we share tips, tricks, do's, and don'ts for all things women, all things hockey, friendships, trades, long distance, moves, and life in general, so you don't feel so alone. So put your headphones in, go for a walk, and feel like you're sitting down with your best girlfriends. Oh, and make sure to follow the page on Instagram, Breaking the Ice Pod. Let's lace them up and tune in for a new episode every Wednesday.
Welcome back to the podcast. Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are all having a nice day. I am just still here in Idaho. Busy as ever, but I like being busy, I have decided. So just working on some business stuff. I just got all of the Cabo retreat information sent out to people that wanted it, that sent me their emails. So if you did not receive that and you would like the information on our retreat in Mexico this year, DM me. I'm more than happy to send it your way. It is going to be so much fun. I cannot even begin to tell you how excited I am to go to an all-inclusive beachfront resort in Cabo. Like, I mean, literally doesn't get any better than that. Like, I don't know how I'm ever going to top that. Speaking of retreats, my guest today I met at my retreat in Nashville. And this guest was extra special because she flew all the way from Norway to Nashville. I cannot believe that she did that. That is some serious commitment. But you will be able to tell after listening to this episode with this girl that she is just flat out amazing, hilarious, go with the flow, ready for fun and bonding. So I was super excited to have Camilla on the podcast. Camilla and her fiance are playing this coming hockey season in Norway. She is Norwegian and he is Swedish, which I actually didn't know. I thought they were both Norwegian. So that added a nice little element of 2 different cultures getting together in this episode. Camilla is a customs officer at the largest airport in Norway. So we chat a little bit about that and some funny stories. And also, when they do play in different countries that are not, their own country, so like if they're not playing in Sweden, they're considered imports going into other countries as well. So we talk a lot about just like cultural differences, language differences, and it was really fun to talk to her about this. I think I had some questions just as a North American living in Europe. We also chat about how to maybe put yourself out there if you're a little bit more shy and reserved going to a new country, especially with people from all different cultures. Also, Camilla and I are both expecting little girls, so we knew we had to incorporate some pregnancy talk in this episode. We chat about maternity and paternity care in Norway. We talk about sports and babies being born. If there is a game tough luck. You know, the guys can't take time off, even if it's 8 hours away, they have to go. So we chat about that, which I know is very relatable if you have been pregnant during the hockey season or will be this next hockey season. It's definitely a major fear of a lot of women is, am I going to go into labor and is my husband going to be able to be there? So we chat about people commenting on pregnant bellies, whether your bump is boppin or not so much boppin, and how it's just flat out rude and stop doing that, and all the things. So this was very a back and forth, authentic, free-flowing conversation. I loved having Camilla on the podcast. You guys are going to love her. Enjoy. How is like the Norwegian way to pronounce your name? Because I say Camilla. Is that right?
It's sort of the same. You just say Camilla.
Camilla?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty. Okay, cool. Well, welcome to Breaking the Ice.
Thank you.
I'm so
Thank you for
excited to
having
talk
me.
to you. This is going to be really fun.
It really will.
So we'll just start off if you want to just tell everyone like a little bit about yourself and whatever you want to add in there.
Of course. Okay, so my name's Camilla. I'm from Norway, and excuse my voice, I've been having a cold for like the past week. So I'm 30 years old. I live here now in Norway with my fiance, and yeah, I'm a customs officer at the Norwegian airport, the biggest airport in Norway.
Oh my God, I forgot you did that.
Yeah.
How, like, please explain that job and like what you do.
Okay, so when people travel to Norway, or any other country really, you have to like choose between going through the red channel or the green channel. And that means if you choose the green channel, that means that you don't have anything to declare for customs. And if you choose the red channel, that means that you have something to declare. So I am standing there on both sides, and you never know when you'll find me there.
Okay, what's the craziest thing someone's ever tried to like bring through customs?
Oh my gosh. There's a lot of things that are legal that you can actually bring to Norway, but I would say we had this plastic surgeon once, and he had this entire suitcase full of like breast implants and stuff like that. And I was like, what the hell is this? And then he was like, oh, sorry, I'm a plastic surgeon and I've been to like a convention somewhere. I was like, oh, okay, well, you could have started with that before I opened the suitcase and got my like the biggest shock of the day.
You're like, this guy has some sort of like sick
yeah, fetish or something. I was like, well, good for you if that's what it is. But he was like, no, it's okay, I'm a plastic surgeon. And I was like, okay, good.
That is so funny. Do you like doing that? Like, is it, I feel like that would be a very entertaining job.
It is very entertaining. It's very like it's a very good variety of different things. Like you can do the like desk job, and you can do the like the outgoing where you're going out to the different gates and talk to people where they're going to, when they're coming back. And the same when they get in, like where are you coming from, and like try to you get to know people in a certain way that you never thought you could before, and that's very exciting.
Yeah, I bet you meet like a lot of interesting people.
Oh yeah, totally.
Do you feel like people are like super rude to you sometimes just because they're like pissy from traveling?
Oh yeah, for sure. And sometimes actually I feel like because I'm a girl, a short little blonde girl, people aren't like giving me the respect that I probably deserve, and I mean that I deserve. They kind of like see me as like a little kid, and they're like, who are you to tell me what to do? And I'm like, well, I have the law on my side, so you can either comply or take the consequences. Like that's not on me, that's on you.
Plus I feel like you're not a pushover, like you're not someone that's like a pushover. So like if someone gives you something, you're gonna push back like 500 times more.
100%. Yes.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
That's what they don't expect from me. I think they think that like when they talk to me, like I'm just this dumb blonde girl that everyone sees like, oh my gosh, she doesn't have a clue what she's doing. And then when I actually open my mouth and talk to people, they're like, oh shit, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, crank
So,
out the whip.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. Okay, so how did you and your fiance meet? How long have you guys been together again?
In December, we've been together for 5 years. We met in October in 2017 in a little bitty town called Mora in Sweden. I was there to visit my best friend, and then she set me up on a blind date.
Was this the year that all the girls you went to the retreat with were there?
Yes. Yes.
It was?
Yeah, it was the same year.
And then they were back. You guys were all back the following year. So you guys were all there 2 years together.
Yes. Yeah. But I did back and forth. I never lived in Mora with the other girls. I just went back and forth because I'm so fortunate to work like shifts with my job. I had the opportunity to go back and forth, and it would be like probably a week or two during the month. So I had a lot of time to go back and forth.
So after you like met him, did you just go back again that season, like shortly after to see him?
Yeah, well, he came to Norway also to like meet my parents, and I actually met his parents before we even called ourselves boyfriend girlfriend. So I felt like it was kind of like us from the beginning, from the very beginning, very start.
So was your friend dating someone on the team?
Yes. So she was dating someone from before. They are both Norwegian. So I went over there to like say hi to them and like see the little town that they were in, because it's only like 4 hours away from Oslo. That's where I live. And so I just decided one day, okay, let me come over there and spend my week there and just have fun. And then
you got a fiance.
Then I got a fiance. Yeah.
So is he also Norwegian?
No, he's Swedish.
Okay, so where in Sweden is he from?
He's from a place called Karlstad.
Okay. Yeah, I know where that is.
So it's kind of like in the middle of the country, or
no, I've actually been there because it's kind of like, isn't it kind of set like south?
It's kind of south, but not as south as they have like all the different names in Sweden. They have so many different names that are very similar, like Karlskrona and
I've been there. Yeah,
it's so similar.
But those two are semi close to each other.
Yeah, they're not too far from each other.
Okay, I thought he was Norwegian, so that's interesting.
Oh yeah, no, he's Swedish. So he was actually playing on the team where I met him in Mora 2 years before. I can't remember, but he was there from before. And then
is that kind of like similar, like can you guys talk to each other in your own language and you can understand?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like in the beginning it was kind of hard because we do have different words, but like our way of speaking, like the very basics of words are very, very similar. But you do have some different words. So in the beginning, me and Bejmo, Bejmo is my fiance. We were talking in like both Norwegian, Swedish, and English, just to make sure that we understood each other and had the right words to like describe different things.
You're like, listen, we need to define like one language because it's very confusing.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's funny because like when we played in Graz, there was like people, there was Slovenians, Austrians, a couple girls from England, and then like the North Americans, and I think somewhere else, I'm not sure. But it was funny because when we were all together, it really took my brain a second to switch to the other, even though we were all speaking English to each other, but it was like the dialect was different with each different language. So like the Slovenian girl would talk, and then the girl from England would respond, and then Austrian would respond, and I'm like, it was like my brain just like slowly was like, wait, what are we all saying right now? Yeah. It's like hard to switch.
It takes some time to adjust, really. It really does.
Are you guys going somewhere next year? Do you know what's happening, or is he done?
He's not done. He actually signed here in Norway for the first time. No, actually he played in Norway 12 years ago or something. But he signed in Norway because we're expecting a little girl. So that's what I told him, like, okay, if we have to go somewhere, we can, but I would prefer it to be able to stay at home. And he was totally on board. He was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to move anywhere else. I don't want to live in like a suitcase. I'm
Yeah.
done with like traveling all around. I've done my fair share of like abroad hockey, and now I think he's content of staying back home, if I can call
Hmm.
it home, but I feel like he's calling it home now. So that's really nice.
Yeah, that's really nice. So will you just
Yeah.
keep working up until closer
Yes,
to, okay.
I will.
That's nice to have like stability. I mean, when you said you were giving birth in Norway, I was like, oh my gosh, thank God for you, because that's
Hmm.
like probably so comfortable. But
Yeah.
that would have been nerve-wracking for you to go anywhere too, because it's just
Yeah,
so different in every country that you
of
probably go
course.
to.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind giving birth in any other country really, because I feel like that would be an experience too. And I'm not very like I'm not a very anxious person, not very nervous. I usually go with the flow, and where whatever happens happens, and it happens for a reason.
Send some of that to me.
Yeah.
I'll take some of that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'll give it to you. Yeah, so but it felt good to know that we were staying at home, having family close by. I know how much that means to like everyone, and I have like so many friends going abroad every single year, and all they say is um that it's hard to be like away from family, because there's, especially if you're a new mom or a new parent in
Mhm.
like general, it's tough to not be able to like have the support and having like the closest people that you know and cherish and love around you all the time. And so that's why I'm feeling very fortunate that we're staying home this year, and hopefully all the years to come
Yeah.
too.
And hopefully then that's it. And then you
Yes.
guys can just stay
Yeah.
there and not have to then move with a little baby.
Oh yeah, well, if that happens too.
Yeah. Yeah. You're very go with the flow. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, going back to when you guys were moving around,
Hmm.
because you're considered an import too when you're going to a
Yeah.
different country. Because if you're in Norway, you're not an import, but if you're going somewhere else, you kind of are. Did you find that that was hard for you?
I feel like it was different from all the different places that we've been, because he actually played in Sweden up until 2020, and that was his the final year in 2020, the season 2021. That was his final year in Sweden, and then he actually moved to Austria that year for the next, or hold on, it was probably the year before. Because of COVID, we've been abroad only with COVID, not because we've been to Sweden like the
Hmm.
years prior. So that was kind of hard because of COVID, because we couldn't socialize as much, and we had like a curfew, and you know the deal. Like in Austria, the curfew was at 8 o'clock. You couldn't go out, and if you went out, you had to have like a formal slip that said that
Yeah.
you're actually allowed to be outside.
Hmm.
It was kind of hard being social, I guess.
Hmm.
But I feel like even though COVID was like taking over our entire lives, I kind of felt like the girls that I met throughout like all the places that we've been, I feel like they were really, really nice to me, and they tried as they could. Like, okay, if we're only allowed to be like three people at someone's home, they always found it to like invite me and like include me into everything that they did. But at that point, I wasn't there full time. So I was only there for like like I said before,
Coming
going
and
back,
going.
yeah, coming back, coming and going. And then the first year I actually followed him full time was this past season. And then we were in France, and then the like COVID wasn't that bad while we were there. It was actually pretty laid back, I would say.
I've always felt that you're very like friendly and outgoing. And so probably meeting people in general is just like kind of natural for you to do.
Well, yeah.
Do you have any advice for people that might be a little bit more reserved and shy that are going to a different country, or like what's your take on that?
I would say like the biggest thing I always thought about is like meet people with a smile. If you do that, they are suddenly so much more welcoming towards you, and they will kind of like accept you for just being like, you kind of look nice. I don't know, but
You look friendly, yeah, approachable.
you look approachable, and that, I think that makes all the difference in the world. And if you're feeling like you cannot reach out to, or cannot like connect with people, try to reach out and ask to like, hey, do you want to hang out? Hey, I'm new here, sorry to disturb you or whatever, but do you know if there is a girlfriend group that I could join? Or there's, yeah, there's usually always someone that wants to take care of you, but speaking of experience, it's not always that way either. But I feel like if you meet people with a smile, they usually respond to that very well.
Have you ever had an experience that was like more challenging that you were kind of like, ugh?
It was more like drama from before in the friend group that was in the girlfriend group that I came into, and I was like, okay, this is not what I signed up for. But you get dragged into it anyways, because you're there, and when all the girls are sitting and talking, there it will come up at some point. And I was like, okay, what is this? And then they told me like all about it. And then and I'm like, I'm a very social person and I like to host. So when I was there, I was kind of like, okay, I should do a dinner before a game, because that was, we had a window that we could do like a dinner before the game. We could go to the games. That was before everything shut down completely. And then I was like, oh, and then I had to like start thinking, can I invite everyone? Is everyone going to want to come if I invite this person and not this person? And and I was like, I don't want any part of this. I just want to be friends with everyone, because I probably won't see half of the people that I meet ever again.
Yeah.
So I don't really care about that, because I'm not like into it the same way as they are.
Yeah, you're kind of like Switzerland, like you're just,
yes,
yeah.
yes. So eventually I was like, okay, I just need to make a standpoint here, like take a stand here and just say that everyone's welcome to my house. So if someone doesn't want to come, that's on them. If they want to come, you're more than welcome. Especially when we're in this situation that we are, like it's not like we chose to be in the same group of people. Like you're kind of forced to being in the same group. And that's how it is. Like sometimes you go better with someone than you do with others, and that's totally okay. Like you can't be friends with everyone, but at least you can be cordial, and you can be at least a little bit welcoming.
So I've found that as a North American living abroad, like obviously your English is very good and you're just like, you're very comfortable speaking English, like very like easy, or at least that's how it seems to me. That's very easy for you. But I just, as an American living abroad, I have experienced like trying to reach out to other Europeans to just be like, hey, like we should get together, whether that's, having kids the same age, trying to set up a play date, or just like to hang out before the game. And like, there's been a handful of times where I've gotten the answer of, I would love to, but like my English isn't good, even though when we are in person and having a conversation, it's completely fine.
Yeah.
And I can completely understand them. And I feel like they can understand me, even though there is a little bit, I guess, if it's not like you're like, I feel like we have no barrier, but like, and there's a little bit of like just a language difference, and like that's
Yeah.
fine, and that doesn't bother me like at all. Like
No,
maybe
I
we'll have
think
to
I
take a
think it's,
second to be like, did you mean this or this? But
yeah.
I feel like sad and bad when they say that, and I never want to pressure someone to hang out. Like, no, come if you're like, I don't want people to feel uncomfortable.
Oh,
But I'm also like, it kind of gets to the point where I'm like, well, I feel like I've asked a few times, and like I don't want to come off like I'm not being inclusive, but also like
no,
you're
you
not
don't want to
really
be
jumping
pushy
on.
either.
Yeah, I'm like, you're not really jumping on the opportunity to do this
No,
either. So it's like, what do you do?
I don't know how to like speak for everyone else, but I can speak for myself. And if there's something that I'm uncomfortable with, I would try to avoid it. You know, that's our defense mechanism as human beings, I guess. But I think Europeans in general are very self-conscious about like how they talk, how they are like perceived in general, and that kind of makes it. I think I've experienced that too with other Europeans where we've been, and I'm like, okay, it's not that different language. Like I know like half of your language, and
Well,
you
yeah,
can,
that's right. Like even
yeah,
being in Sweden, like obviously it's easy for you to speak English,
yeah,
but the
yeah.
Norwegian Swedish difference, like, did you find that you had that experience when you lived in Sweden with other Swedish girls being Norwegian, or like how, like, or was it pretty easy, like
That was
smooth?
that was pretty smooth actually.
Okay.
I feel like in the beginning it was kind of hard to like understand all the words that they said, but then I just asked because I'm
Okay.
kind of that person. I rather ask one, two questions too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you guys were in Austria too, so then there was
Yeah.
people that were speaking German, and
Yes.
maybe that's where you kind of ran into that problem a little bit.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And then because German and Norwegian is very similar in some ways, and we have German in school also, so we learn like a little bit, and same with French and Spanish. But I feel like if there was some words I didn't know, I asked them to say it again or try to explain it like in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a lot easier. Yeah.
Well, 'cause it's interesting because I feel like in Europe, you guys go to school very young to
Yeah.
learn English. So like you
Yeah.
guys have been speaking English, whether
For a
that's
long
like
time.
frequently, but you've learned it, you've spoken it. And whereas we come over here, I'm like, we've been in Europe like off and on half of the year for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
No chance do I speak even
No.
of German. Like,
No.
I mean, I can read, if I'm at the store, I know like what certain things are if I read
Yeah.
the label and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't understand German, so that's just out the window. So I'm like, if
Yeah.
you speak any sort of English, I want to communicate with you, and I want to have a conversation, and I want to like get to know you, because I think it's really interesting to hang out with people from
Mm-hmm.
other cultures. But I have run into that every year where I'm kind of like, you know what, I've reached out a few times, but
Yeah.
I wish there was some way to like make them feel less self-conscious about it, because I think in their head it's a bigger deal than it actually, like, it doesn't even
Then it
phase
actually
us.
is. Yeah, I
Like
know. I
I think
know.
I could speak for like almost every North American. Like, we want to hang out.
And I think also that's actually a very fun fact. They, in different parts of Europe, they usually dub their movies, the TV shows that they send on TV to their native language. So it's like for us here in like the northern countries, we do have like English movies. We watch English TV shows, so that's also like one of the things that I feel like is making a little bit difference for us, because it's easier for us to like get
Understand.
to learn new words and understand a lot better. It's more of the speaking matter for all of
Mm-hmm.
them, because I know that everyone understands a lot more than they can speak, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
think that's one of the main reasons, I guess.
that makes sense. We all want to hang out. Like, we
I
don't want
know.
people to feel excluded, but it's like there's only so much you can do sometimes when people
True.
just simply keep
True.
declining like the
I
invite.
know. And like if they want to hang out, they will hang out, and if they don't, they don't. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess that you just have to like, and if you really want, just be pushy, and then they have to say like no, I don't want to hang out
Yeah.
if that's the case.
Yeah, just tell it straight. Like, just say,
Yeah,
if you
why
don't want to
not?
hang out, just
Why?
let us know and I'll
Yeah,
stop bugging you.
why not?
Yeah.
Just be straight with me.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Okay, so you are obviously pregnant
Yes,
and
I
I'm
am.
pregnant.
Yes.
And it was funny because, like, for everyone listening, Camilla texted me before the retreat because she flew all the way from Norway to Nashville. Like, still can't believe you did that while pregnant. But you were like, oh my gosh, like, I'm pregnant and you have to help me, like, keep this a secret, because we were both like pretty early. I mean, I guess, like,
Yeah.
well, actually, I think I was like 11 weeks and you were 9 because you're 2 weeks
Yeah.
behind me.
Yes.
So I was like, well, I have something to tell you to make you feel better,
Yeah.
but I'm pregnant too. And I'm like, I don't really know if I want to tell everyone, but I'm like, I also don't want to be like going through the whole weekend just like pretending I'm drinking, because it's just like takes
Yeah.
so much energy. I'm like, I
It
just
really does.
don't want to do that. Anyways, we both
No.
wound up telling everyone.
Yep, we did.
Like, we never did like a big announcement, but then like
No.
I heard
Suddenly
people
everyone knew, and I was like, that's good. That's fine.
yeah, because I all of a sudden people are like, oh yeah, Camilla's pregnant. I'm like, oh, I guess she's telling people. Great. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, it was fun to have someone else there that was
It really was.
that was
helped.
pregnant.
It helped a lot.
Yeah, it did, because we would look at each other and be like, you tired? Yep. You tired? Yep. I was convinced, like, because, well, and again, everyone's symptoms are so different, but I just had a feeling for you that you're going to have a boy and you're having a
Yeah.
little girl. So now we're both having little girls.
Yes, I
Yeah.
actually was super persistent that I was having a boy too. Like, I said to everyone, I know it's a boy. I know it's a boy, but and apparently not.
Yeah. So how, like, tell everyone how your pregnancy has been and like what it's looked like for you so far. And you're must be almost 21 weeks, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Well, I've been actually very, very fortunate. I have not been sick at all. I almost feel bad for saying it, because I know like so many other people go through the worst nausea and they puke like all the time, but I've actually been feeling super great the entire time. I was a little bit tired in the first trimester, and then now that I'm in my second, I feel a lot better. I've had a little bit of like pain in my back, but that's about it. And I'm going to a chiropractor to fix it, and she's amazing. And yeah, I've been feeling really, really great.
Good.
Yeah, the entire
Good.
time. Like, the
Yeah.
time has been passing by so quickly. So I'm like, am I already like halfway there, over halfway there? It feels so weird.
I feel like the first trimester, there's like kind of just like anxiety a little bit, because
Yeah.
you're like, you know, like, is everything okay? Like, you don't feel anything. You're like, are you still like cruising in there? Like, what's going
Yeah.
on? So it feels like it goes by really slow. But
Mhm.
once you hit like the second trimester, I swear it just flies by.
It
And all of a
does.
sudden you're like 2 days out from giving birth and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, great.
Yep.
It's funny that you said that about the back pain, because I have that
Yeah.
too. And I just went to a chiropractor on Monday and she was like, your back is like screwed.
Yep.
And I don't know if, is it like in Norway, do they do like traditional adjustments where they're like cracking you? Because they
Yep.
don't do that in Austria.
Oh yeah, they do that. They do that here.
So yeah, I did that and she was moving around like crazy when she was adjusting me. Like, I went to someone too that was like, she studied like prenatal and like kids chiropractic.
Same with this one. Same with the one that I go to.
Yeah, but what's your, like, is it low back pain?
Low back pain. Yep.
Is it on like one side?
Yeah, left side.
Okay. I feel like we literally the same thing. I have that. And I've been like, it's weird. I'll like take a step back.
Yeah.
And then like all of a sudden I'm like, I'm in like a ton of pain.
Yeah. It feels it feels like my back is going to break in two.
Yes.
It's awful.
Yeah. So I'm going back today.
Okay, good.
And then fun fact, when I was there, she was like asking me like, oh, how was your first birth? Like, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, like, I mean, it was fine, but yeah, he got vacuumed, because she was like, did you have any sort of intervention. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, he got vacuumed out. And she was like, can you bring him in with you on Thursday? Like, she's like, I just want to like look at him, because she's like, a lot of parents don't know this, and like obviously no one would quote me on this, but she was like, it can like cause a lot of tension in like their neck and their head and like their brain. So she was like, I just want to like, she's like, it can cause colic, which she had, and all this stuff. So now he's coming with me to my appointment today, and we're both getting adjusted.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So I'm curious, but I heard it's like really good for even like really young newborns. So even after you have your baby, maybe you could take her in. And
I will. But the fun fact for me is that my chiropractor is pregnant too, and she's like 8 weeks before me.
Oh shoot.
So she will go out right before I'm going out. So well, hopefully her replacement will be just as good.
Yeah. So you're due on Christmas Eve for us. The 24th, right?
No, actually it got adjusted to December 30th.
Okay.
So
okay.
Now I potentially can have a January baby too. So
or New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve baby.
Maybe like on the cusp, like December 31st, January 1st, like either one.
Then if it's December 31st, like during the evening, I will for sure like squeeze tight and hold it in, because getting a kindergarten, like getting a space, or what is it called, like a spot in kindergarten here in Norway, is awful if your baby is born in December. Really? Yeah, they get like discriminated, I feel like.
How do you know that? Because I feel like I would never know something like that.
I think it's because like everyone is talking so much about it, because because they actually get discriminated. Because if I don't know, I feel like well, I actually don't know why it is that way, but if your baby is born in December, you are not like, you don't have like, you can't demand a spot in a daycare center or a kindergarten until the baby is like 18 months. And that's long, especially when you don't get that much leave from work. So it's kind of hard to like juggle. And especially for us with guys that play hockey, like during the winter season, or like during the season, and then especially for us, if the baby is coming in December, I have to be at home like the entire time for a year, and then what about the next 8 months? And then you have to pay for like a private daycare, and that costs so much money.
So what does your maternity leave look like in Norway?
Because he is playing hockey and he's Swedish, and he hasn't been working in Norway for so many years, he's capable, but he's not allowed to have like
paternity leave, I think is
paternity leave.
Yeah,
so he's not allowed to have that, and so I will get his share of it. So I get a full year of maternity leave.
So what is it normally for you?
It's like 7 months
for you, and then what's it normally for the guy?
Almost 4 months, I think.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty good like deal that we have here, and like the healthcare system in Norway is really, really good. Like the US has so much to learn.
So they're in a lot of situations, then if the guy can't take paternity leave, then it just goes to the woman.
Yes.
Wow. I don't know. I always say that I think it's like crazy, because like, even though I'm the one like going through this experience, it's still an adjustment for the guy. Like when we had Crosby, like it really like affected, like my husband had not really ever been around babies or anything like that. So like when we brought him home, just like the first few days of like crying and like waking up through the night and like not being able to soothe him, he was like, I have to be up and go do like a physical sport and like play in a game, and like I have had 3 hours of sleep. Now look, like at that time I'm just like
well, you need to help me. I can't do this alone.
I'm dying. Like, please, like, I don't want to hear it. Like, I don't feel bad for you. But now looking back, I'm like,
Yeah.
even though like I went through this, like it's still an adjustment for like your household and like just a person in general to like bring a baby home, especially when that doesn't stop crying. I think that's amazing that so many countries in Europe do offer paternity leave, because it is not like that in the US. And literally like you give birth, like even as an expat or in Europe, you give birth and there's a game the next day.
Yep.
Bye. No one cares.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Even though if he had like the opportunity to get paternity leave, he wouldn't, because of hockey. If his share of if his weeks or months would fall on, like, let's say from October to, let's say, February, he couldn't have taken it because of hockey. Because that's the way hockey is, I guess.
Well, and I think it's like that with, I mean, probably almost any sport. And I think that's
100%.
Something a lot of people just have no idea. They don't even think about that. But it's like, literally, you have a baby and your husband goes to work. If that work is 8 hours away, they're going to work 8 hours away.
Yep.
They don't care.
No.
That's just like wild to me. It's our normal because we live it.
Yep.
But it's not normal. Like, that's really weird.
I know. And that's like, we're very fortunate here now because the practices are in the afternoon. So it's not in the mornings. So we've been saying like, okay, if we're having a hard night, I will do the nights so that you can get your full 8-9 hours of sleep. And then if you could just help me in the mornings, I would appreciate it a lot. But I understand that you have your job that is a physical job. You're leaving, you're going away. But also, I kind of feel like we have to think about ourselves too up in all this. Like,
yes,
we're actually sitting there with a newborn baby all alone, not knowing what to do, not knowing, like, usually you're two people to take care of this baby,
and support from your family.
Yes. So but yeah, it's tough. It's like you said, that they're going away, like, and there's no discussion. Like, if they have an away game, they're going on that away game.
I think it's really good that you guys are having those conversations, though, because it's something that a lot of people just don't prepare for, because all the focus and attention is like on the baby and the baby and the baby. And then it's like the baby comes and the mom's like, I'm drowning. Like, I need help. I need like I'm doing everything. Like, I'm exhausted, because you don't really like have any idea like what it's going to be like and like what your baby's going to be like. It's hard. So it's good that you guys are like having somewhat of a system, because like we're definitely doing that this time, because last time we didn't, and I felt like it was hard. Like, I was like
I said, we're also very fortunate that we have our family, or at least my family, very close by, and his family is like only 2.5 hours away also. So if there's like a huge problem, they will be here in a heartbeat. So we're very fortunate that we have that support system, in addition to me being able to be at home all the time, and then that he can actually pursue his career and do whatever he needs to do to show up for practices, for games, like, so that he can be able to do his best at his job. Like, other people have like 8 to 5 normal jobs, that you just go into the office, sit down, and then you sit there tired, and then you can go home and sleep on the couch. This is not it.
No. And like, I mean, the first couple days, do you remember, my husband's like, I literally felt like a zombie at practice. Like, I can't even like move. And I'm like, this is such a short-lived phase, though. Like, it's not always going to be like this. And I think that's important to keep in mind too, is like those hard, like, exhaustion, the reason people say that it will pass. And like, people say, oh, the newborn stage is so hard. I had a really tough newborn. Like, it was really hard. Toddler's just busy, but my newborn was hard. So it's like, when people say, oh, when I thought the newborn stage was hard, I'm like, everyone's babies are so different.
I know.
And like, you can't say
what it is for one person is what it is for another.
It's so
But
individual.
it's so individual. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just remember like being like, this is temporary, like these hard times. And
it's just like put upside down, and you don't know how to fix it because there's no system, and you just have to like go with the flow with your baby. Whatever the baby wants, baby gets, and then you come in second row all the time. And I think that's one of the most important things to kind of like remember, that okay, it's just a phase, it will pass, and eventually things will get better. But when you're in the hardships that you're going through, you just have to, yeah, you just have to like try to be strong and try to stay as sane as humanly possible, and then whatever outcome, it will be fine. You know,
I think make sure you take like lots of breaks for yourself and like step out, take time for yourself, because I think when you're not doing that, it's a lot easier to lose sight of that mindset, because you're like, I'm literally in the trenches, like need to refresh the mind. So accept help too. That's like the hardest thing to do when you have a new baby. It's like I got it covered, but like even if you do, like go take a walk.
I do not think I have it covered. I think I'm in for real treats, to be honest. But I feel like trying to have a positive view of it and trying to like have a sort of like a plan makes me feel a lot more confident going into it.
Totally.
But like everyone says, oh, don't make too many plans because it will never be the way that you actually planned. No, it probably won't. But then I still have like some, like I have like a sort of a system of going
like you have
it.
some sort of control mental, like you're like, I have some sort of
mentally, yes,
exactly. It's I'm excited for you. It's honestly like the best, like most rewarding thing. Like you're gonna be tired, and it's gonna be hard, but
it's going to be worth it.
It's so worth it. Like oh my gosh, it's just the best.
I'm really excited.
Do you have any like fears going into it, like as maybe like the birthing experience or just like labor or anything like that?
Well, both yes and no. Like the birthing experience, I'm very much looking forward to. I feel like that's the craziest, most wholesome experience that I will ever experience in my entire life. So I'm ready for it. I am actually really, really excited.
You're so cute saying that.
But yeah, my biggest fear is like, am I going to be like a good mom? You know, I feel like that's the same that everyone is thinking, like adopted by my grandparents. So cool. My mom was not the best mom she could be for me. Same with my dad, my biological dad. So that kind of also makes me a little bit nervous. Will I go like the different, like the opposite way from them, doing all the things that I don't want to do? Like I know that happened to me. Will I be that mom that will do the same mistakes, or just like do I live by and learn? Have I learned by experience and knowing what not to do or what to do, you know?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. You're going to be an amazing mom. And I think I can completely understand why those thoughts would be in your head.
Yeah.
But I do feel like as humans, we always learn like what we don't want and what we don't want to be like. And I think that going through what you've gone through, I'm sure that's going to give you that extra love to like pour into your own child. So yeah,
I hope so.
For sure it will. We're going to have to like go back and forth and keep each other updated on it.
We will. Too far apart. So this baby or these babies could probably, they could actually potentially be born on the same day, you know?
Absolutely not, Camilla. I'm not having my baby at the end of December.
It could go over. Probably not with the second, though. I don't know.
No. Well, Crosby was a week early.
Okay, yeah.
Don't let people fool you if you have a feeling. Like, people were like, your baby's going to be 10 days late and you're going to be in labor for like 48 hours. I was like,
oh, thank you.
Like, oh my gosh, thank you for the encouragement. But actually,
Yeah.
he was a week early and my labor was 5 hours. So
Yeah,
now I'm like, the second one's probably going to be born on the toilet and I'll have a good story to tell on the podcast.
But I'm excited to hear about that one.
Yeah, seriously. I'm excited to hear about yours. And yeah, you'll have to keep me posted with how you're feeling. And
I will.
Is there anything you're doing to prepare for postpartum or just kind of like going with the flow?
I'm just going with the flow. I tried doing like a couple like different yoga exercises in the beginning, but then I felt like because I got a tummy really really quickly, like it showed.
Oh my god, let me see.
Hold on.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, it's getting big. It's getting there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because you're a little shorty, so.
Yeah, I know. And that's kind of why I feel like it just popped out right away. And so I kind of felt like in the beginning when I did it as soon as my stomach popped, I was like, okay, it's not working for me. So I'm just doing like the suction, or what do you call it? Like the exercises that when you like squeeze your what is it called?
No idea what you're doing.
It's sort of like
Kegels.
I don't know.
Like when you're doing the down there.
Like yeah.
Oh yeah, Kegels.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Kegels?
I think so. Are you talking about like with your like?
Yeah, your JJ. Yeah.
Yeah, Camilla just demonstrated this procedure on video. I'm like, I'm not sure what you're doing. Yeah, no, I heard those are like really good for your pelvic health. So
yeah,
you're
pelvic
preparing.
exercises.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's good.
I've been doing that quite a lot, so that I can hold my pee when I'm done.
Yeah. Do you feel like people make comments about like your bump and stuff or no?
Oh yeah, all the time, every single day.
Does that annoy you or do you like it?
Well, not really. The only thing that annoys me is when people just come over to me and like start to touch my stomach, and I'm like, hello. And then I just started to touch people's stomach back and like, oh, nice one.
That is so funny. Yeah, I forgot about that because that really doesn't happen here where people like touch your stuff like in the US, or at least I've never had that experience. But I remember after Crosby was born, there was a woman that lived in our building and they were like a nice couple. They hardly spoke any English, so like we would always see them and they'd be like talking to us in German and we're like, yeah, like hey, great, cool, like an older couple. And then one time we were getting on the elevator. This is like in the freaking like middle of COVID. Like it's like December 2020. We're like getting on the elevator. This like old woman comes like running out of her building. She sticks her hand like through the like car seat to like touch Crosby. What? And I literally just like swerved my stroller around and was just like, no touching.
Excuse me.
I said no touching.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, no touch, it's okay. But I was like shook. I'm like, who just touches someone's baby without, like, I've never had that happen. I thought it was the weirdest thing.
At least ask first.
Yeah, I was like, do not touch my baby. And also like, this is a fresh out of the womb newborn and like COVID is going right now. And that was when like, you know,
it was crazy.
You know, whatever. But I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I had a couple people be like, baby, like when I got really pregnant, but aside from you, I'm really tall.
Yeah.
So I have like not really tall, I'm 5'7" or 5'8", but I have a super long torso. So like my bump takes a long time to show.
Yeah.
And people will say stuff to me though, like the opposite. They'll be like, oh my God, your bump is tiny. I didn't even know you're pregnant. I'm like,
that like annoys me. I'm like, I don't know if
Yeah.
other people listening, but I'm like, just don't
Why?
comment on that.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, why even comment on it? Like, if I'm talking about it, that's fine, because then you know that it's actually okay to talk about it. But if I'm not saying anything about it and don't want to make a big deal about it, please don't do it yourself. It's just rude.
It is like, and maybe it's just a little bit naive because I'm sure there's times before where I've said stuff to people where I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't look like you're about to have a baby.
Yeah.
Like maybe thinking it's like almost a compliment, but I
Yeah.
think people don't realize that when you're pregnant, you want to look like you're having a baby. You don't want to feel like you're having a baby, but you want to
No,
look like you're
you
having
want
a
to look
baby.
like you're like, I have a lot of friends that has been pregnant or is pregnant at the moment, and like everyone is like, for me in the beginning they were like, oh my god, you're showing so early, and I was like, well, yeah, I don't know, I've never had a baby before, so I can't tell you why. It's probably because I have such a short torso,
Yeah.
so it just popped right away. But and everyone's like, oh, how far along are you? And I'm like, well, I'm only like 3 months. And they're like, what? Not far, like, are you only 3 months?
Yeah.
Why even comment on it? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm 3 months, and when I'm 8, I will probably look like a cannonball, but that's okay. Like, just
It's like a
don't make a big
psychological
deal out of
thing.
it.
It's like
Yeah.
it's weird. It's just like, and it gets in your head too, because like
Mm-hmm.
what are we, like 5 months now? And I'm like,
Yeah.
people will be like, you're 5 months pregnant. And I'm like, yeah, but then
Yeah.
it's like I start thinking, I'm like, is everything like okay? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know everything's okay, but I'm just like, it's weird. Just like when people make comments, you're like, just don't. Just it's better to just
Yeah, just be quiet. And if
yeah.
I'm talking about it, that's fine. And if
Yeah.
not, just shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Well, thanks for coming and chatting with me. It was fun to see your face and talk, and hopefully I'll get to see your face in May. I know it's a big trek for
Yeah.
you, but we'll see.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, and if someone wants to reach out to you, maybe they're having a little one in Norway or playing there, where can
Yeah.
they find you?
My Instagram is Camilla, straight out with a C, and Emilie. It's an Emilie, double E at the end. So Camilla Emilie.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.